Google Analytics Behavior Reports. Out of all the reports in GA, I use the behavior ones the most. Site Content. This report gives you a review of all of the blog posts, landing pages, and web pages on your site. All pages. Let's start with Site Content All Pages. This shows the top trafficked pages for your current view and / or segment. It's useful in and of itself. You should always keep a careful eye on your most viewed URLs, but I especially like it when I'm analyzing traffic growth or declines. To give you an idea, maybe total traffic to my website has dropped 10% month over month. I'd navigate to Site Content All Pages and change the date range to this month compared to the last month, making sure the days of the week match up. Then I can see the differences in page views by URL. This helps me identify which pages received less traffic and contributed to that decline. Helpful tip: I like to change the sort type from default to absolute change, so I see the results sorted by the greatest differences in percentage rather than total views. I also add the page title as a secondary dimension, so I can see the name of each page alongside its URL. Content Drill Down. This report breaks down the structure of your site by subdomain and then subfolder. You get the drift. This report is probably most valuable for those managing highly complex properties. Landing pages. Landing pages is another one of my favorite reports. GA defines a landing page as the first page in a session. In other words, the visitor's first interaction with your website. There are a few ways to slice and dice this report. First, if you're interested in the sources, organic, paid social, direct, etc., driving users to the landing page, you can add source/medium as a secondary dimension. This is basically the opposite version of the report we added earlier. Second, if you only want to see which landing pages users visited from a specific source, on a specific platform, or within a specific category, you can add the appropriate system segment. Maybe you're most interested in the landing pages that mobile and tablet users see, so you choose mobile and tablet traffic. Or perhaps you're curious about users who ended up buying something, so you choose the Made a Purchase segment. There are lots of possibilities here. Exit pages. This report shows the last pages users visited in their sessions before they left your site. That's a little confusing, so let's use an example. I want to find a place to grab dinner with my friends, so I search for Mediterranean restaurants near me. A place that looks good pops up, so I click on it. First, I check out the menu. They have a hummus sampler. Yum. Then I click on their press page. It links to a recent article on Eater, so I leave the site to read it. The reviewer loved the food. I'm sold. The press page would be my exit page. You may hear that you should analyze your exit pages to understand why users are leaving your site. I think this example reveals why that strategy doesn't always make sense. Just because someone has left doesn't mean anything is wrong with the content. Check this report out, but take the data with a grain of salt. Site speed. This report is pretty self-explanatory. It tells you how quickly your site is loading for users. Obviously, the faster the better. Not only do faster pages correlate with higher revenue, but Google's algorithm takes page load time into account. Site speed page timings. This report delves into the average page load times for each URL. I use it to identify the slowest loading pages on HubSpot's site with the ultimate goal of figuring out why they're taking their sweet time and how to speed them up. The default metrics are page views and average page load time, but I also recommend looking at AV, page load time and bounce rate. Change the sort type to weighted so you see the blog posts with the highest page views first. AV, page load time and page value. The latter gives you a sense of how much a specific page contributes to your total revenue. Looking at these two together helps you find slow loading pages that are valuable to your bottom line, even if they don't get a ton of traffic, making them a high priority to fix. Site search. First things first, if users can search your website, make sure you've set up site search in GA. You must enable it for every view separately. Usage. I typically start with the usage report, which tells me how many sessions occurred with and without 1+ searches. In other words, I learn how frequently people used Cite to search for the view and time period I specified. Search terms. Here's where you learn what people are searching for. Look for themes. If you see the same search terms coming up multiple times, there are a few conclusions you could draw. Either you need to create new content that gives users the information they're looking for, or you need to better surface existing content so it's easier to find. Pay attention to the search exits column, as this tells you how many users clicked away from the search results page rather than choosing a result. You can usually infer there wasn't a good answer for their question, or it wasn't appropriately titled. Search pages. This report displays which pages users are starting searches from. It's important to think about this contextually. Maybe people are commonly beginning searches from your 404 page. That makes sense and isn't anything to be alarmed about. If, on the other hand, they're starting searches from a product landing page, something's wrong. The content clearly isn't living up to the expectations they had when they clicked the ad link. Events. A user clicks a button. Then they download a file. Next, they watch a video. No, this isn't the world's most boring bedtime story. It's an example of a GA event. 3 events, to be specific. GA defines events as user interactions with content that can be measured independently from a web page or a screen load. Those user interactions are up to you. You'll need to add a special code to your site or app that tracks the specific actions you're interested in. If you're not excited about event tracking already, I want you to get excited. There are infinite possibilities here. If you have an event set up for watching a product demo and another for clicking a link to an external review of your tool, you can measure how many times each event happened. Maybe you discover your video isn't getting many plays. It's probably time to optimize the current video, make it easier to find on your site, or create a new one. Or perhaps you see that way more users than you expected are checking out the third-party review of your product. That tells you users want more social proof and testimonials. Since the review is favorable, you might want to put it front and center on your site. Top events. This report tracks the events taking place most frequently. Pretty straightforward. You'll see total events, for example, how many times that event happened, and unique events, how many sessions included one or more occurrences of that event. If you've set values for your events, this report also shows you how the total value of each event and its average value, or the total value divided by the frequency. Pages. In this report, you can see which pages generate the most actions. I typically add event category as the secondary dimension, and then filter for the event I'm most interested in. To give you an idea, my team tracks blog CTA. This event fires whenever a user clicks a CTA embedded in a blog post. Now I can see which posts generate the most CTA clicks. Hopefully, you're starting to see the power of event tracking. Events flow. The events flow report tracks the order in which events take place on your site. It can tell you A. Whether particular events tend to happen first, and if they trigger other events. To give you an idea, maybe users frequently watch your demo video, then click the CTA to schedule a call with a salesperson. B. Whether certain event categories are more common than others. Imagine you see that videos are played far more often than PDFs are downloaded. C. Whether users act differently based on segment. For example, perhaps people coming in via organic scroll to the bottom of your pricing page far more than people coming in via social media. Note, this report is very subject to sampling. Sample data is usually pretty accurate, but it means the more important the conclusion you're drawing, the less uncertainty you'll be able to tolerate. To reduce the level of sampling, make the date range smaller. Publisher. If you monetize your website with Google AdSense or AdExchange, you can use the Ad Manager and Google Analytics integration to bring information on how your ad units are performing into GA.